My first $10,000 month. What changed and what I learned. Hello, my name is Mark Ham. I'm 21 years old and I have amassed over $1 million in online sales in the online business space. And today I'd like to talk about my first $10,000 month and, like I said, what I learned and what changed. So my first month exceeding $10,000 profit was September of 2021 when I was still a senior in high school. I was 17 years old at the time, actually, and it was a very interesting experience because still being in school and making that sum of money in such a short amount of time really opened my mind to what the world is. Like, it really changed my perspective on what I wanted life to be. Not even to sound like an ignorant asshole, but it was at that point that I realized, like, for that month, I had made more money than my teachers or, certain people that are working career jobs. And I made that amount of money within that monthly time frame just running my own business at 17 years old. I would say that's what changed for me first, was my perspective on the world and the way money works. And it really messed up my perspective because it was like, dude, like it just changed everything. Like, imagine that mindset shift. If you haven't had your mindset shift already, imagine what it would feel like to be 17 years old, still in high school, and making 10K a month through your business endeavors while still being in school. I was like, bro, I don't want to be here, which is funny, but it just totally shifted my perspective, and it made me want to do better to continue that success so that I wouldn't have to go to college and have to get a job and things like that, right? So that was the first thing that changed for me. The second thing was the financial aspect of it, right? Like, before the month that I had in September, I had some money. I had $1,000 to my name, I think, just from money that my parents had saved for me for my birthdays over the years, stuff like that. And so making that amount of money in a month, it changed a lot for me. I could pretty much buy anything I wanted besides a house or a car, right? It became oh, I want this shirt at the mall. Just get it, bro. Just get it. It doesn't put a huge dent in my pocket. Oh, you want new pair of shoes? Okay, get it. When I had that month, there's a brand that I love. It's called Fugazi, bro. The first thing I did when I made that amount of money, the first thing I did was I went and bought a pair of Fugazi slugs, sneakers. They're so cool. I literally wore them the other day. I still wear them 4 years later because I love those shoes so much. But it changed that for me. I wouldn't have to ask my dad or my mom, hey, can I have some money to go get some shoes? You know what I'm saying? I was kind of off the payroll at that point. I kind of could afford to do the things I wanted to do from, I hadn't really traveled up to that point, but I could afford travel if I wanted to. I could afford that pair of shoes that I want. I could afford the shirt that I want. I could go buy a hoodie. I could go buy the pair of shoes, the slugs that I wanted. And being 17 and being able to do that, it's something that a lot of kids your age can't do. So I didn't feel better than anyone. I never do. I don't feel better than anyone in my life. I don't look down on anybody. But it was this weird experience of okay, I can afford to do these things, and my friends around me are still asking for their parents and all this, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it was just going through that was interesting for me at 17, right? Being the kid that would buy his own shit. And that's fine. That's the way I wanted it. I always wanted to be that kid, okay? So don't get it twisted. So that's another perspective that changed, was okay, I have money now. I can buy the things that I want. You know what I'm saying? I can provide for myself in a way. Of course, I was still living at home, but I can do certain things that I want to do for myself. One thing I learned too is, funny enough, making that sort of money, it's it really, it's life changing in the short term, but long term, it's like, it really ain't shit, man. Like, it was all about sustaining that success at that point and continuing to do the right things. It's like, okay, once I had that amount of money, it became, okay, what's next? It was never, like, I feel like a lot of people look at a 10K month and having $10,000 is like some sort of end game, right? And being like, okay, like, I did it. But then very quickly, once you do it, it becomes, what's next? What's next? It's the same thing when you do 100K. 100K, what's next? The game of business and the game of success is an interesting one because it's one that you have to learn as you go. I can tell you that 10K doesn't feel like shit and all this stuff. 10K is a lot of money, okay? It doesn't not feel like shit, okay? It feels great. But you will understand what I'm saying once you hit it, okay? You do it, you accomplish it, it's yours, and then very quickly it becomes, okay, nothing has changed except a number in my bank account. You know? It very quickly becomes, okay, I need to continue the habits that I've built upon to sustain this success and to continue going after my goals, right? So that was another thing that I had learned and that had changed for me. It just really became about sustaining that success and doing it over and over again, and what was next, and it was moving fast, you know, get the followers up, get the make even better pieces for the brand. And it was great, man. It was awesome. It was a very enjoyable time, you know, like, gosh, I was 17 years old, man. I was 17, which is crazy to think back on because I'm 21 now, right? So at this point, this is like 4 years ago, right? And the brand has grown since then. So like looking back on that time period in my life was it's a lot of fun, honestly, like thinking about it, because I haven't thought about it in a while until I made this video. But you know, what I just said, I don't want anybody to take away. I don't want anybody to think that I don't think $10,000 is a lot of money. It is, but in the grand scheme of business, what's next? That's what it is. And you won't know what I'm talking about until you get there. It's just how business is. Because I looked at it as, you know, when I was younger, oh man, if I have a clothing brand at 100,000 followers, that's the end game, bro. It's the end game. I'm here right now. It's not the end game. There is no end game. There is no end game. So the things that I've learned so far changed my perspective on money, how the world works. It opened up doors for me to just be able to buy things that I wanted, which is great. And then it also instilled in me that just 10K a month wasn't the end game, is that we needed to scale from there and sustain that success. And there is no end game in business, my friends. There just isn't. You may think there is, there isn't, unless you sell for high seven figures and even get into 8-figure territory. That's the end game, right? So it's like, and then building a brand that you can be proud of and that people like, that's the end game. You'll never make enough money to satisfy yourself. You just won't. You just won't. And I've accepted that. So it's about impact and what you do for others, genuinely. As far as things that it changed my perspective on and that I learned, I think that's all I've got, to be honest with you. I might be forgetting something and I might think about it when I go on my walk back, but I just wanted to make this to talk to people who maybe haven't had their first 10K month. And you know, what it's really like, you know? It's awesome. It's great. It's a celebration. But it's not the end game, friends. It's not the end game. So, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little something. And if you'd like my personal help, one-on-one with your business or clothing brand, check out the link below. I'll catch y'all. Peace.